Hi guys. Towards the end of 2022, several economists and even governments predicted a recession in 2023 and possibly extending in 2024 before things get better in late 24 or early 25. Over the last few weeks, we have started seeing the beginning of it. But I have another prediction with evidence, and that is that this recession is going to continue for a very long time and it's going to start in Japan and will ultimately result in the age of abundance. Surprised? Completely disagree. Now, before you start typing your comments claiming clickbait or leave the video completely at all, just hear me out for the next few minutes and you will understand why I'm making this outrageous prediction. This recession is going to happen due to tech innovation in three key areas: automobile, energy, and automation. In this video, I'll focus on automobile. Now, to understand this, let's map the automobile employment across the world. There are three key markets in order of profit and size: China, US, and Europe. If you look at the data from 2022, particularly December, we see that except for Tesla and BYD, most traditional car manufacturers are seeing a decline in profits, and the worst hit are Japanese brands. Take Honda as an example. It has declined in all the major markets by at least 25%. Even other established brands like Toyota, Nissan, etc. have production declines, and this problem is going to get even worse. Markets are moving to EVs, and all Japanese car makers are still hell-bent on not making any of them. Toyota's former CEO Akio Toyoda said as recently as last month that the silent majority of the auto industry is doubting an EV-only future before funnily enough resigning due to shareholder pressure, well, of course, on not making EVs. Other Japanese brands are no different. And on the other hand, you have Tesla along with Chinese brands like BYD growing at 50% annually and pretty much eating their lunch. So, the obvious question is, why aren't these Japanese companies moving to an EV-only model quickly? Well, for that, we need to look at their balance sheets, particularly the amount of debt that they owe. And boy, they are insane. Take Toyota as an example that has a long-term debt of more than $325 billion. Yes, you heard that right. $325 billion. Honda, $57 billion, Nissan, $30 billion, etc. Overall, these car companies, along with the dependent ancillaries, have more than $500 billion in debt. Now, converting all the existing manufacturing to an EV-only model would mean another dramatic rise of almost $500 billion in debt and $1 trillion asset write-off, making the balance sheet of all these companies simply unsustainable, eventually leading to bankruptcy, a market crash, and a wiping of trillions in wealth. But wait, it gets worse. In a complete irony, on Friday the 13th in January, Tesla dropped a nuclear bomb on all of these car manufacturers by announcing a massive price cut across its portfolios. This made their vehicles on price parity with other manufacturers. Up until this point of time, EVs were considered premium only. Well, not anymore. Coupled with government grants, lower total cost of ownership, better software and customer experience, Tesla demand just went through the roof, while others saw a substantial drop in demand. And now with the imminent launch of Cybertruck later this year, Tesla is going all out to capture the most profitable segment of pickup trucks, hurting these car companies even more. This is what will push them into more and more losses, leading to factory closures, job losses, and ultimately bankruptcy for a lot of these companies over the next 2 to 5 years. Some may even merge together to form large companies for survival. Now, for arguments, even if by some miracle they somehow manage to get all of it converted to EV manufacturing, there would still be significant job losses, as EV manufacturing is not similar to traditional manufacturing and requires far fewer people. There will even be worse impact on the ancillary units, as a lot of them will absolutely become irrelevant in an EV-dominating economies, as electric vehicles do not require so many parts. Dealerships also will not be required in most cases, as we have seen with Tesla moving to an online-only model. Overall, this means an average job losses from around half to 1 million every year in Japan over the next few years, and this is why this recession gets more prolonged. Any recovery seen will not only be wiped but negated by the systemic decline in employment. But you could argue that the government will bail them out. Governments have done this in the past, right? Wait, not so fast. Japan has a massive problem of national or sovereign debt and has the world's highest debt to GDP ratio at about 265%, which basically means that they owe way more both internally and externally than they can produce. And when the exports and employment for automobiles will decline, this ratio will cross 300% or possibly higher. Coupled with an aging population, the revenues of government will keep drying up while the social care and other costs keep rising, resulting in this national debt becoming absolutely unmanageable, leading to an eventual default and a banking system collapse. We've seen this happen in other countries like Greece a few years ago and most recently in Sri Lanka, and we know how troubling it was. And this problem is not just going to stay in Japan, it's going to spread in Europe, as most of the reasons of this decline will also eventually happen in Europe. All major car companies, particularly in Germany, have massive debts. While they are promoting EVs and have some experience in electric vehicle manufacturing, most of their employment is still through traditional car manufacturing. They will experience a delayed but a similar, if not a worse, decline. Europe also, similar to Japan, has a sovereign debt problem, but it's not as bad. But even this bailout in Japan or Europe may fail, as these companies have virtually no product line to compete with Tesla or these Chinese car manufacturers, and it will take them years for them to come up with these products. By that time, Tesla, who is on an innovation spree, and others may have already taken their market share and have way better economies of scale, essentially making this bailout useless. It's estimated that between $9.5 to $10 trillion worth of wealth, including loans, bonds, factories, etc., will be wiped out due to this transition, resulting in a prolonged and deeper recession. Still don't believe me? Check what Mr. Toyoda said last September, where he explicitly warned that EVs will destroy Japan's export-oriented car industry, which employs roughly 5.5 million people. The world's third largest automotive group, Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, warned recently of more auto plant closures due to rise in EVs and called for a temporary tariff on Chinese EVs to avoid social unrest in Europe. Volkswagen ex-CEO Dr. Herbert Diess warned that moving to EVs would cost the company more than 100,000 job losses. The board, silly enough, fired him for making these comments, even though that's the actual reality. And now, we can all see that the reality is striking, with every single car manufacturer starting to lay off workers in high volumes due to this low demand. GM recently fired 500 people and offered voluntary retirements to literally the whole company at a time when they're transitioning to EVs, or well, so they say. Nissan stock was marked as junk by the rating agencies just a few weeks ago, and so on and so forth. There's loads of them happening quite quickly. So I hope now you are convinced about it, at least partially. Mark my words, you will be hearing about auto and subsequently other job losses repeatedly over the next few quarters, as this transition to EVs is happening even faster than I thought. The question is, how much faster will it really happen? This, along with a similar fast shift to renewable energy, will mean a dramatic change in employment situation for tens of millions of people worldwide over the next few years. More on energy in my next episode. So, what do you think about my analysis? Comment down below on your views. That's it for today, guys. This research took a lot of effort over the last 3 months, so please do share and like the video. Subscribe to the channel for more such stories, and the next episode on energy will be out very, very shortly. Ciao.